The city moved without him. Crowds walked past, voices echoed, life continued. But for him, time had stopped. Ethan sat on the cold concrete steps outside his small apartment complex. His head hung low, his hands locked together. He wasn't crying, but his eyes had that heavy, distant look of someone who had forgotten how to hope. The world didn't hate him. The world barely noticed him. He felt like a shadow, present, but never seen, alive, but not needed, breathing, but not living. And there is nothing heavier than the weight of feeling useless. If you've ever felt invisible, stay with this story. Sometimes, the most forgotten hearts carry the strongest light. The city moved without him. Every morning, Ethan walked through crowded streets where footsteps echoed against pavement and conversations blended into one another. Like waves, people brushed past him, not looking, not noticing, just passing. And Ethan moved through them like mist, there, but unseen. He was 19, thin, quiet, and always slightly hunched, as if trying to take up less space in a world that already felt too full. At home, he wasn't much different. His parents didn't dislike him. They were just busy with work, money, and stress. His older brother was the golden child, loud, confident, always doing something that made the family proud. Ethan was the background character of his own home. "You need to try harder," his father said often. "You need to be like your brother," his mother would add, not with cruelty, but with tired disappointment. School wasn't kinder. Teachers mispronounced his name even after a year of knowing him. Classmates forgot he existed. Group projects moved on without him. Birthdays passed without celebration. When he looked in the mirror, even his own reflection felt like a stranger he didn't know how to speak to. Every night, he lay on his bed staring at the ceiling, thoughts circling, chest heavy. That quiet question whispering like a voice inside his bones. What am I even here for? He wasn't angry, he wasn't dramatic, he was just tired of feeling like nothing. One afternoon, after another long day of being unseen, Ethan walked without direction. His feet carried him past familiar streets, past noise, past laughter he didn't feel part of. The sun was setting, painting golden light across the sky, but Ethan barely noticed. He just kept walking, his heart moving faster than his steps, until the city noise faded behind him. He ended up beneath an old bridge, the kind people forget about. The concrete was cracked, and the air smelled of rain and dust. And there, sitting on a small wooden crate, was an old man playing a violin. The music was soft, raw, imperfect, but filled with something Ethan couldn't name. It wasn't happy, it wasn't sad, it was something deeper, something truthful. Ethan stood still, listening, as if the sound had reached a place inside him he didn't know was still alive. The old man didn't look up. His eyes were closed, his fingers moving slowly, intentionally. When the music stopped, Ethan realized he had been holding his breath. The old man opened his eyes. They were gentle, tired, but warm. "You've been carrying something heavy," he said, as if he had known Ethan forever. Ethan blinked. "How did you?" "Because I carried it once too," the man said, resting the violin across his lap. Ethan sat down beside him, not knowing why. Maybe because this stranger saw him when no one else did. The old man took a slow breath. "There was a time I thought I was useless too. I thought the world had no place for me." Ethan lowered his eyes. The words felt like they belonged to him. "I was a music teacher once," the man continued. "Loved my work, loved the sound of hope in young hands learning to play, but life. It can take things from you, sometimes too quickly. Ethan listened, still and quiet. "I made one mistake," the man said, "just one. And suddenly everything I believed I was, vanished. Lost my job. Lost my home. Lost the people who said they cared." His voice trembled, but his eyes did not. "And I believed I had lost myself." Ethan swallowed. "So, how did you keep going?" The old man smiled, not with his lips, but with his eyes. "Because the world does not decide if you are valuable. People do not decide. Success does not decide. Failure does not decide." He lifted the violin gently. "Only you decide who you are. Only you decide what you become. This," he said, tapping the instrument, "means something because I chose it to, not because they did." Ethan felt something shift, a small crack of light in a dark room that had been closed for years. The old man leaned closer and said softly, "You are not useless. You are just unfinished." Those words did not strike him like lightning. They did not transform him instantly, but they settled inside him like a seed, quiet, small, but alive. That night, Ethan went home. The rooms looked the same. His reflection looked the same. But something inside him wasn't. The next morning, he made his bed. Not because someone told him to, but because it was a promise to himself. One small act of direction. The next day, he cleaned his desk. The day after, he sat with a notebook and wrote 3 things. "I will not disappear. I will try even if no one sees me. And I will build myself slowly." He wasn't suddenly confident. He wasn't suddenly skilled. He was still quiet, still overlooked, still learning how to live. But each day he did one small thing: a push-up, a chapter read, a walk with purpose, a 5-minute skill practice, one habit, then 2, then 3. Slowly, painfully slowly, he changed. His posture shifted, his eyes sharpened, his presence became steady, grounded. People didn't applaud. No one suddenly admired him. But when Ethan looked in the mirror now, he knew who he was looking at. A person who builds, a person who continues, a person who rises, not for attention, not for praise, but for himself. Weeks later, he returned to the bridge. The old man wasn't there. The crate was empty. The air was still, but the music lived on, not from the violin, from Ethan's steps, steady, alive, purposeful, as he walked back into the world. Not unseen anymore. Not because others saw him, but because he finally did. And maybe, wherever you are listening from, maybe you have felt invisible too. If so, remember, you are not too late. You are not broken. You are not useless. You are just unfinished, and your story is still being written.